Welcome everyone to another CTC software webinar. My name is Chris Bircher, Director of Technical Services here at CTC, and today we are going to talk about some tasks that we're doing on a regular basis. Most projects, all projects, every day, most days, what have you, and how the BIM suites can help automate, simplify, speed up, enhance those processes. We're going to focus mostly on some of those making automatic type deals here today. But before we get started, I do want to encourage everyone attending the live presentation today to ask questions using the questions panel. I monitor those and will answer them in line as I go. And if I miss one, I'll make sure to take some time at the very end to answer and recap all of those. If you are watching our recorded version on our YouTube channel, use the comment section below. We monitor that as well, and we'll make sure to answer those questions and reply to your comments there as soon as we see them and as soon as we can. And now let's just get started now. Okay. As you all know, in our line of work, we are constantly doing the same thing all the time. Creating views, creating sheets, adding, laying sheets out, putting views on sheets, loading families, purging models, creating PDFs, exporting to AutoCAD or to Navisworks. We're doing stuff like that all the time. Every single project gets some of those or all of those. And, and those are oftentimes, because they're so repetitive, they end up taking a lot of time on every single project. So finding ways to speed that up, to streamline that process, to automate the process would be huge, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, how we can automate and define some settings that assist with automation in tools from the BIM suites. We're going to touch on a couple from the project suite, touch on a couple from the manager suite, and from the batch suite. So today we're going to talk about what are some of those repetitive tasks. We can't talk about them all because there's dozens of them, I'm sure. Each discipline kind of has their own list. And then we're going to show you how to use some of the CTC tools to set that up and to run through those processes, show you or tell you where to find more information about the specific products themselves. And we'll get into a couple of examples, sheet and view setups, how to do some automation for standards and all kinds of good stuff. So the common tasks, right? And again, this is only the beginning, right? There's a lot more that goes at this, but some very common ones that kind of affect all of us: starting projects, creating the views, creating the sheets, putting the views on the sheets. Maybe your naming convention for your views is not something that you want to show up in a view title. So we can either rename the views or rename or apply parameters to title on sheet, right? Loading families happens on every project, unless your template is bulk loaded with everything, in which case you need to clean it up. So there's some purging aspects to this. There's some model cleanup pieces. Kicking out your PDFs or to the printer, even just for markup sets or 11x17s, IFC, Navisworks, 3ds Max, DWF if you're still using it. Obviously your PDFs, setting up your sheets, laying them out, making sure that they're consistent across the board. Model health checks. Some of us in the BIM management coordinators crew, we have to run model health checks a lot, potentially, right? Or maybe we would like to, and we don't because they take a lot of time. So there's some aspects to that. Adding parameters to projects. Maybe you build new content, getting the parameters into your new content, right? And these are just examples. We could talk about dozens of these workflows. We're going to touch on a few. And the best way for me to touch on these few is to just show you. Before I show you anything, there's kind of two different styles of automating that we're going to talk about today. The first style, and I should have made a slide for this, but I didn't. But the first style is actual automation, like headless automation, right? I want to do something and just kind of set it and forget it to an extent, right? So we're going to talk about a few of those. And then we're going to streamline workflows that help automate portions of tasks to make things function quicker, okay, and go faster. There's still some manual input to kick those off. You'll see what I mean. So we're just jumping in though. I don't like PowerPoint much. So many of you may have already seen a number of the tools that I'm going to talk about. And if you want more detail on some of the tools that you haven't heard much about, I'll show you where to track those down. Oh, okay. So a big one, you're starting a brand new project, right? You need, and in my case, my project is empty. I got nothing, right? I think I have a level here. Oh, no, I got a couple more, but I've got some levels, right? And maybe I'm just doing a small project or a warehouse or what have you, and I need some views. Now, if your project is set up already, your template or your starter project, what have you, with the levels that you need already, and you've got view templates created that you want to go with, you can do a couple of clicks here and be done. So View Creator is really, really good at quickly facilitating the creation of floor plans and ceiling plans and dependent views. And if on massive projects, duplicating schedules and elevations and making coordination views. So one of the things that I'm just going to real quick do is grab the levels that I need to create. I'm going to grab a couple of floor plans that I need to generate here from this list. I'm going to specify, I don't have any scope boxes, so I'm just going to say, I just have to pick it. And they're all new construction. And I'm just going to quick add, hit create, boom. In a few seconds now, I've got 20 floor plans for my project. Now, if you set it up correctly, these abbreviations can be predefined as part of your starter project or template process, right? So they're already there. So you don't have to do that. The view templates, right? If you've got your view templates in your project, you can preset the abbreviations so that you don't have to worry about it. Same with scope boxes, right? If you typically have an overall scope box, and you can call it building overall, and that's the name, and maybe the abbreviation is overall or master, or maybe it just doesn't kill them. That's okay too. You can preload that stuff and preset it so that every time you run View Creator on projects that started from that template or starter project, these values will already be defined. And the only time you would have to add new ones is if you went here and made new levels, okay, or new view templates before you opened the application. So a lot of that can be cookie cuttered out, so that all the user or you have to do is check some boxes and click add, then create, and you're done. Same thing with any of these other tabs. As long as the starting point is in your project or the parts that you need are already predefined, you can automate, and I'm doing air quotes when I say this, the creation of a bunch of views in your project. But really, we're just enhancing the process, speeding it up by doing that. All right. The next one, creating sheets. Spreadsheet Link, great tool for creating sheets in your project. Now, one of the things that, that's a core feature of what Spreadsheet Link allows you to do. So if I grab the sheets category here and add that to the list and then specify the parameters I want to work with. So number, name, and maybe you got a sort order or a discipline order or some type of organizational identifier that you like to use. Like and mine's set up here too. So I think it's sort order. Yes, it is. And my preview showed me that. I can grab those, and now I can come to my preview page here, or my working window, and tell it that I want to create a bunch of new sheets. In doing so, I can specify then as many as I want. So if I wanted 100, I could do that. If I wanted 500, you could do that. Or if you just needed 12, I guess, you could do that, specify the title block that you want to use. And I guess I'll go with that one, I suppose. And it'll create the new line items, giving you the opportunity to go ahead and do the rest. And you can start from any place that you want. You can copy them. You can call them notes and abbreviations, if I could spell. And the reason why I'm just kind of sort of lightly going through some of this is because this can be saved as a setup so that you don't have to do it the way I'm doing it on every project. We'll call this lower level, and we'll just do that to keep it simple. Simple. I'm going to change one to be 05 interior, just so we have something different. And we'll call it lower level finish plan. Right now, I can turn around right now and just hit apply. I can also save this. I can save the file. Then when I come around to needing to create sheets on a different project tomorrow, or even later in the same day, right? Sometimes we kick off projects on the same day. I can just open this file and click apply. Done, right? I've already set it up. And if you've got your stock standard list of sheets that you want to use on a regular basis, that's kind of your core standard, build out the list in a spreadsheet. You can apply it back to the model in 2 seconds. What you can also do in this case is, so I just went ahead and made 12 sheets for me. And you can see them now in my browser over here. And it even made the new group because I told it to. All right, pretty slick. What you can also do is save the file. You can save your settings, and then you can actually just hit load, specify the settings file, and hit apply. Right, that's one way to do it. You could also then, I don't need to save this. You can also use a product called Spreadsheet Link Express. This tool allows you to automate the spreadsheet link settings that you've already defined. So if you had a, and this is great, especially for creating large amounts of sheets, or when you work with customer or client or consultants, I should say, or maybe you're an engineer and you're working with architects, and various architects have various ways of setting up their sheets, and the orders are different, and the way you need to include those in your sheet list may be different than someone else, right? Or maybe it's a specific client that you're working for. You can load those, you can create a routine that allows you to automate that. And it, sheet creation is a simple one. And you can just specify the file, click apply, and it'll go. And any sheet that it needs to add, so I had already added the same 15 sheets, so I got nothing. And that's because I actually applied it instead of just canceling out. But you can run that same routine on every project, and you're going to get the same sheet list. And if you have 15 different settings files to run, that's 15 different sheet lists that you could potentially create. And now you can share those with all your users that start projects. And now they don't have to open up Spreadsheet Link and wonder what to do next. They can just click Spreadsheet Link Express, specify settings file, and we're done. So slick little way to go ahead and really speed up that process and automate the creation of sheets in your projects. You could do that also with rooms, right? Maybe you've got a stock set of rooms that you need to use for a particular type of project, maybe healthcare. right? And you know you're going to have exam rooms and all that kind of stuff. You can do a similar workflow with Spreadsheet Link, but in creating rooms that simply adds them to the project with some data already populated. And then when you go to place the room in your project, you've got those to choose from a list. So if you were to do a room, you get that drop down up here where you can specify which room you want to use or make a new one. It adds it to the project so you can choose from this list. So it's a slick little way to go ahead and do that. But it's the same process. Instead of hitting create sheets like I did, I would hit create rooms. So, okay. Next step. So we talked view creator. We built out some views. We did Spreadsheet Link to build out some sheets. Next step, I need to load in a bunch of families, right? And maybe I just need to batch load those in. And I want to load in a ton of stuff. So if I've saved my project and it's a work shared project, awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick sync to central. Get my stuff up to date here. I can use a free tool from the BIM Batch Suite in Family Loader. What this tool will allow you to do is batch load families into projects, whether it's a brand new family into a project, or you've updated content and you want to push those updates to your active projects. Couple of different scenarios, or maybe it's a specific set of content for a specific set of projects. You can do that with this product, and it can do multiple projects and as much content as you'd like. So the way it works is you hit add host projects and families, and you can specify projects from your network, or you can specify them from your BIM 360 or Construction Cloud Project Hub. And so mine is actually just hiding back here. So I'm just going to go grab this project here quick. It's the one I'm in, way down here at the bottom. Okay, there's the project. Again, I can add as many projects in this list that would need the content that I want to load in. I can grab as many as I need to. And it's just going to, one at a time, load those in. So I specified the project. Now I can specify the families. Now, there's a couple of different ways to specify the families. If you've never done this, you hit add families and you go find a folder full of content and load in what you need. So I've got a folder here on my temp folder. Families. I'm in, what am I in today? I'm in 23. Okay, so we'll grab these. We'll just grab that. I can tell it to search on the subfolder. I can grab everything, hit OK, and now I've got a list. And at this point, I can specify how I want those loaded in. I can say load everything, regardless of what it is. If I'm updating a project, I can specify that to only load families that already existed, as well as only load the types. You got some options here on how you can handle that. In this case, I want a brand new project. I want to load everything. Since I'm working with a central model, we're going to create new locals. We're going to suppress the dialogues, and we're going to automatically sync to central and close those files when I'm done. Now, and then I can hit load. So now we're just effectively automating the load family process to an extent, right? Now you can streamline this, and maybe it's a content update process. Maybe you're making changes to your families on a regular basis, and you want to make sure that those get loaded into the right projects. So what you can do is add your library of families here and save that setting. And this is a loadable text file that will effectively give you office families load, or we'll call it the CTC families load, since I don't care about the project at the moment. So I saved the settings file. I can, let's do this. I'm gonna remove all of these first. Yes, I missed a couple. Yes. So the idea is if you've got a setup saved, you can grab that, hit open, and it's going to load all the families into the window. And now I can hit run or load, right? And you can do the same thing with your projects list. So maybe you are making changes, or maybe you've got a handful of templates that you're managing, either for different Revit versions or for different project types or whatever the case may be, or different clients that you work for, like whatever the case may be. You can specify a list of those projects here, and it's a savable text file again, just like the families were. You can load that, you can load the families, you can tell it to only reload families that already exist in each host file, so in each project, and only reload the types so that you're not polluting it and loading in a family with a type catalog that has 500 types in it. You're just loading the types that are already in that file. And now you've got your automated process to load a setting, go. Gets all the families into your project, and then it'll automatically save them and you're good to go. And this works really, really well with work shared projects, obviously, because then I can open up a session, let it run, and it's going to open everything in the background, load the families in, and close it down when it's all said and done. So it's pretty slick. Okay, now I'm going to switch projects quickly to one you've probably seen before. And I'm going to open up Plotter Exporter. Now, this is one of those tools where we can actually do a set it and forget it style of thing. Right? So one of the benefits of Plotter Exporter is that it has a scheduler aspect to this. So you can build your settings to export your PDFs, to export DWGs, Navisworks, DWG or DGNs, DXF, DWF, IFC, FBX. If you're using our model compare to do health checks or snapshots of linked models, you can generate those as well. But these are the pretty common ones that we're using on a rather regular basis. If you had multiple different PDF sets at different paper sizes and for different purposes or different sheets being included, you can actually have multiple sets of PDFs for that reason, right? And you can set it up however you want. Now, so I'm just going to close that quick because I'm not going to build another one here. However, okay, I don't want anything, just close. It's still loading views. Okay, that's why. I got impatient. But the whole point is you get your setup, you save it, and you can save this as a PE configuration file or PE conf file. And then what that allows me to do is create a schedule, create a process to run on a schedule. And there we go. So in the app right here, we have a scheduler feature. So I'm going to open up the scheduler feature. It tells you some basic instructions on what you need to know before you run it. And I can go ahead and create a job. And I'm going to call this my ARC PDF DWG NWC job, right? Specify how frequently you want it to run. Maybe you want this running every week on Wednesday nights after hours. And let's see here. I'm going to pick 7:23 p.m. and we're going to run it every Wednesday, and we're going to do this every week. Yeah. So, and then you can specify how if you just want it to run forever, or do we want to put an end date on this for maybe the project is going to last 2 years. So specify that. And then you can load up your configuration file that you want to use. Mine's right here. You could specify the project file you want to use, whether it's, again, on your server or in your BIM 360 ACC space. And it'll just list up your projects and any other hubs that you're a part of that also have our CTC connector applied. I almost said installed. It's not actually installed. It's applied, which is a free app on the Autodesk Construction Cloud App Store or BIM 360 App Store, right? And then you just pick the project or projects, right? If these settings apply to multiple projects, you can specify those projects, and it can be a combination of the local network or BIM 360 and same hub, different hub. You know, it doesn't much matter what they are. As long as the criteria of the configuration that you're using applies to those files, you can run it. And then you hit OK. Now, every week at the same time, I'm going to get my PDFs, DWGs, and Navisworks files for the project or the projects that I associated to that. It's just going to happen automatically. And I'm going to quick pull up the folder that I typically write these to, because I've had a few set up for a while that I actually never put an end date on. So I do have a couple. And it'll format something like this. So it has the ability to format a date and time stamped folder with all of the data that you exported out inside. So in this one, I kicked out all my PDFs and an FBX file. You know, a couple other ones are empty because I probably ran a script to move it to a different location, right? So you can automate the creation of your PDFs and or DWGs or Navisworks or IFC or whatever the case may be. So that's one right. You could also just load settings and hit run now, right? You define the settings. You can automate the output of these things by manually clicking run now if you don't want to schedule it, which is also okay. Let's see here. Another tool that takes care of that has that kind of set it and forget it mentality is Model Compare. So Model Compare takes snapshots and allows you to compare snapshots together to see, you know, what's different or what changed, right? So take, for example, a file that you received from the architect or from your engineers, and you want to see what they've changed, or you want to get a list or report of what was changed. This isn't as much a visual, like a PDF compare sort of thing. It's a spreadsheet style compare where you can look at a report that says, hey, this parameter, this family, this type, this position, this parameter is now different in this new version, or it hasn't changed at all, or it no longer exists because it got deleted, right? So, but what I'm getting at is that you can actually schedule this. So the snapshot process can be scheduled. So if you had if you wanted to do model health checks and get an idea of how many views are on the project, how many families are on the project, how many are placed, how many are not placed, things like that. What's the file, you know, what various items like that. You can create a filter or a snapshot set of filters, and you can save that. You can then make a scheduler configuration from that and specify where you want to save it, which filter settings file to use, and how do you want the resulting snapshot file to be labeled, right? So maybe you're constantly getting updates from your consultants, you know, maybe once a week, once every few days. Take the day you get it, a snapshot is taken later that day or that evening. And then you can start to compare those things together. So this is taking scheduling the snapshot. So I'll just do a real quick setup just so we can finish the setup process. I'm just going to go back down to, well, we'll just put it in that folder. Why not? It doesn't matter. And my settings file is moved, and that's okay. If I put them here, so we got some health check snapshot filters that we can use, and maybe that's what you care about, or you want to take a full snapshot so you can truly see what's different. You know, there's a couple of different ways to go about doing that, and maybe I just want project number, project name, and the processing, well, I get that in the folder, so maybe that's enough, but I'll add processing date to the file name as well. and save a config to there. Call health check. I can't spell again. Go. Yep. All right. Then lastly, in the scheduler, same thing. It's very much the same as what we did with Plotter Exporter. We're sourcing the Windows task scheduler, and we're defining a Windows task to run these jobs. And again, I can run it on a weekly basis at, and maybe I won't do Wednesday, let's do Mondays, or maybe we'll do Sundays. I like Sundays. We'll do Sundays at noon. Hopefully no one's working that day. We'll go get my setup. Oh, you know what? I don't think I paid attention to where I saved it. Oh, I didn't. That's all right. I know where it is. No, I don't. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go find out because I forgot where I saved it. Sorry about that. Config. Pretty sure it was, yeah, I know. That folder. Okay. Real quick. And you can edit these anytime. So if your settings change or you want to use a different setup file, you can. Add config. There it is. So you specify your setup. Why am I'm moving too fast? Grab it. There we go. Add your file. Go browse to the Revit file that you want to take a snapshot of, and you're good to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this one again. We'll grab the mechanical file, hit OK. Now, as long as this file gets, even if I don't update it, I'm going to get, it's going to run a process on it because I told it to run every Sunday. If I'm doing it on an active Revit project that is internal to us, specific to this health check, then obviously the files are going to be up to date. And now that's just going to run until forever because I didn't tell it to not do it. So another way to automate some health check stuff, right? Oops, I just closed Revit, didn't I? No, I didn't. Okay. Another thing right here in front of you, model dashboard. You want health check information. You want active live status information. Just load in the model health check title block, right? Or the model dashboard. This loads in a title block family and it's not this one exactly. This is a modification, an iteration of one that was used. But if I go here and forcefully load this in, it's going to potentially, hopefully, load in the new title block and run an update. So it's going to look like this. And when you open your project at the start of every time you open that project, this is going to update with information from the last save. Well, it's going to, basically from that moment in time. So you're going to get, in this case, model health based on the families, imports, materials, work sets, line styles, and how many of these things there are in my project and where they fall within the range, right? So this is just quantifying everything that you see here, as well as everything that is also contained within this list. Because not everything here, or here I should say, is present. So you can customize it, show what you want when you want. But this title block kind of automates some of that health check stuff so that you don't have to constantly open and go look for it yourself, right? This is already happening. So as soon as you open it, you see what's going on, right? It's a title block. You set this up as your splash page. First thing you see every time you open your project, and first thing everyone sees when they open this project. So if things are bad, everyone on that project is going to know it's bad because the arrows are all pointing in the red. And in some cases, the dials break. Or if you customize it to look like a report card, maybe you got a bunch of D's and F's across the board, right? But you can automate some health check level information so that you don't have to hunt and peck for those answers. It's already right there in front of you when you open the file, which is also pretty slick. And then you maybe pair that together with model compare health checks to get more finite data about some of that stuff. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, I got two more that we're going to talk about today. The first one is Sheet Assistant. Now, a big piece to project, regular project use is setting up sheets, laying out the sheets, and then making sure the sheet layout is consistent amongst other similar style sheets. And in some cases, making sure that they are in the exact same spot. So that when you do a page turn, whether it's a physical, you're actually physically turning the page, or even just scrolling between PDFs, you don't see things jumping around, even if it's just a little bit. I know a few people, one of my colleagues specifically, can't handle that. And so what you get to do is set up a layout, and you could specify a target sheet to build it off of, and specify what the alignment properties of that target, those views are, bottom right, top right, bottom left, top left, center, middle, whatever you want. You can set that, you can save it as its own little config file. It can be a floor plan, a schedule, a legend, a detail or details, your generic annotations, keynote schedule, what have you, right? Like, you can set the sheet up how you need to set the sheet up. Then if you've got a bunch of views or a bunch of sheets that are supposed to follow the same layout, they're going to have a plan, maybe a legend, and plan notes or sheet notes or architectural or engineering notes, like whatever, it doesn't matter. If they're going to follow a similar layout, you can apply this to all of those similar sheets. Even if it's a ceiling plan in this case. This was built off a floor plan. But if a ceiling plan is also supposed to be in the bottom left, and it's going to have maybe a schedule or a legend in the bottom right, and something else in the top right, and maybe something in the middle, you can do that too with the same template. So I can effectively take this and grab all the plan sheets that I want to apply it to, minus the one that I'm in, hit select all and hit apply. And now it's going to run through that. And it's going to effectively open the sheet, align the views, and close the sheet because I didn't already have it open. If you did have the sheets open, you could watch it happen. Now, if you did have another project you wanted to do this on, because it follows your sheet layout standard, again, you can save this configuration to a config file. You can come over here and hit load that configuration into that project and apply it. So this project, maybe you just did it on the fly. That's great. Maybe the next project, you don't want to do it on the fly again because you've already done it. As long as you saved your settings, you can go ahead and just do that. So I think this is a really good way to help quickly apply those layout settings and layout, the defined layout, to all of the similar style sheets in your project. And I always use floor plans as my example because they're common, they're easy to set up, and most notably want to be in the same spot. Elevation views and detail views or drafting view sheets, those get a little bit more tricky because sometimes we have a tall detail or a wide detail, or same thing with elevation because rooms aren't always 10 by 10. But theoretically, you could do it there too if you were able to put together a sheet of interior elevations or a sheet of details that only had the similar, where all of the views were just perfect little squares, which again, sometimes does happen. But you could set it up for that as well. All right. last, but certainly not least, because there's a lot of other apps in here that could do things for you. I want to talk about two more, I guess so, but Manager Suite is the last suite. So Shared Parameter Manager is one tool that can help automate the definition of parameters in your projects or families for that matter. So for example, you start a new project and you know at some point you're going to need to add a few project parameters, either for your title block setups or for managing revisions or for managing construction phases, because it's a big enough project and it's going to need that level of coordination, or it's for a particular client, and they have very explicit parameters that they want to use. As long as you have those parameters, you can use them. So I'm going to open up, which one was it? This one today. And here's my list of parameters. Great. Obviously, you can go ahead and manipulate this as much as you need to. The whole point I wanted to do here, though, is I'm going to open that shared parameter file here. And we can make parameter selection sets to load these parameters into your project. So for example, I've got a few already made where you can say, these are my standard project parameters. And maybe for whatever reason, they're not in your template already. That's okay, because we can batch load them in. Maybe they're not standard project parameters per se, but they are client-specific project parameters. And I need these into this particular project, but not the others. So I can set this up. We can predefine, when you build the parameter, you define this, but we can predefine where it's going to go in the groupings is the instance or type, and what categories we need these applied to, right? In this case, it's just for sheets, but maybe, just maybe, I wanted this also on areas, right? That kind of makes sense in this case. And this one's already defined. This particular material one's already defined. I can now hit load parameters, and it's going to grab these from this set and load them all into my active project, right? It's taken the entire set. I didn't even have to select it. I like doing that because it shows that it's happening, but you don't even have to select it like that. Once it's defined in this drop down, if there's stuff here and you hit load, it's loading all of it in. Right? So now it's loading them in, and it's going to define them the way I defined them. Now, secondly, I did that into my project. It doesn't have to be a project, right? It could be a family. You can build parameters that need to go into new families that you're creating, or maybe you downloaded some families and you just need to add a couple of textual based ones to it to finish off the scheduling process, right? You can open that family, you can create a selection set here and batch load all those into that family. For the most part, the selection, the parameter setup and definition process is the same. The only difference is you do not get a categorical list when you load into a family. It's the only difference, right? Everything else is the same. And you hit load, and it's going to load them into that family. And that just gets it in there, right? Maybe you're making a brand new family, a new door family, new mechanical equipment family, new light fixture, new foundation family. Doesn't matter. You can have a preset list of things that you know need to be there. And maybe these are ones that need to be in every single family, regardless of what type it is, right? And maybe it's corporate information that is just always there. You can batch load those in quick, regardless of what you're making. So you can have so this is a great way to kind of automate parameter creation in your projects or your families, because manually doing that takes a lot of time. That's a lot of extra clicks. If you've already done it once, just do it again. You don't have to do it or redefine it, because it's all kind of technically saved as part of my parameter file now. So, which is very slick. And lastly, cleanup. Project Cleaner is a great way to help facilitate the cleanup of your files prior to archiving a project, to sharing the file with your consultants or with the owner, or maybe it's just getting bloated and you want to purge some unused stuff out or unneeded stuff out, right? Because that does happen from time to time. Project Cleaner helps facilitate the deletion or the removal of views, schedules, legends, view templates, filters, sheets, rooms, areas, spaces, linked models, linked CAD files, CAD imports, and image references. All of that stuff. And then if you need more than that, we can link you up to the out-of-the-box purge command to finish the deal. So what you get to do is specify what you want. Now, if you've got a project standard, you're going to love this next piece here. So you can specify what you want when you want it. There's some organizational options here for how you're looking at views and or sheets, right? So my views are what's on a sheet, what's used or not used. So here it's telling me what sheets these views are on. And then same thing with the sheets. Are they empty or are they being used? You have some ability to change how these things are showing up based off the defaults that are already inside of Revit. So you can check the boxes for things that you want. You can all the way on down through the line. And so if you want to get rid of certain sheets because they were for SD phase and we're now well into the CD phase, we don't need these sheets anymore. Okay, we're going to delete them. Or you're sharing the model with someone and you're like, well, I don't necessarily need to show, they don't necessarily need all my sheets, maybe a couple. So blow away all those sheets. And this is a great way to set some of that up. Now, one of the things that you get to do here once you're done kind of specifying what you want to get rid of, maybe, I'm just going to check a few boxes here just to have some things checked. You can save that selection to a settings file so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel the next time. If you like, if it's something that you're doing on a regular basis for this project, maybe you received a project from your consultant and for whatever reason, it's just sluggish and you want to clean some stuff out prior to getting back into your project to maybe speed up the reloads and the refresh times. That's okay. Save this setup so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel each time you get an update from them. You can just open it, load the settings, hit remove, save that, link it in. No big deal. And that, because not always do you need all of their view templates or all of their views or all of their sheets and filters and things of that nature. You just need what's in the model. So good way to help purge things out. So if you can, I'll just do a quick little save here called test because I'm going to load up a different settings file. Then in this case, I'm going to load one. We're going to say load send to consultant. And if I had, there they are. So I've got a few sheets that don't need to be here. Got some templates that we don't need, but I'm sending it to a consultant. They don't need half this stuff. They need some of the parameters, but not all of them. Some of the sheets they don't need, some they do. Really just kind of depends on what they're working on. And then I can hit remove, and that's going to delete everything that was checked in this list. These should have been checked, but I never checked them. So now I'm gonna. So you can, and then you can add to it if you need to. And I can save it, update it, then run it. So another great way to save the setup so you don't have to reinvent the wheel each and every time you want to do it, right? Which is what all of these tools that I showed you today are doing, right? There's ways to save the settings, reuse the settings, in some ways reuse the settings faster, like with Spreadsheet Link Express, or in a few cases, set it and forget it with the scheduler aspects. So, and there are many other tools in here that have settings that can help enhance and streamline and automate some regular tasks, if you will. But I thought that these would be kind of the most important ones to talk about today. So there you have it. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today. So I hope you saw something that was intriguing. If you did and you want more information on that, I strongly suggest going to our website, ctcsoftware.com, go to the products page. Gives you a little bit of information about each individual suite and their individual products. If you've already got the tools and you want to see more about a particular tool, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ctcsoftware. Search the app that you want, watch the videos, or I didn't show this, I should show this right now. In each app, there's a videos button. So I'm going to open up View Aligner real quick because it's quick. Each app has a videos button link. Click the button, it opens up, it brings you to our YouTube channel for that app. And you can see more information about it. I'll watch the intro and a couple of workflow videos to learn more about that particular product. And obviously, if you have additional questions, just reach out. info@ctcsoftware.com. You can email our support team. You can reach out to us on our website, what have you. We look forward to answering the questions for you in any way we can and helping you deal with those repetitive tasks in a more efficient fashion. But that's going to end it for today. So thank you all, and I appreciate you, and we'll see you at the next webinar. Take care, everybody.